choreography is not just from my idea, from three of us all put together.
It was kind of cool because when Koichi and I work together, we're synchronized. You know, we do a fight scene. You know, what I do is I come up with a concept of the fight. Like, okay, you know, these guys will have stun sticks. One hit, you know, with the stun stick, and the fight's over. You know, now let's choreograph this fight. But the catch is, we're gonna put it in a tiny little motel room with some sparse furniture. Now, how do we make a scene that'll kick your ass? And that was the concept. We go to a location, I bring Koichi's guys there, I say, go, do it. They spend all day there, they're choreographing all this crazy stuff, you know, while I'm working out all the logistics of the shoot, and I come back in and I go, what do you got? He shows me stuff, and I go, oh, I love that, I hate that, love that, I hate that. And I said, let's lose this, and let's change that instead. And he goes, all right, I'll be back in 10 minutes. He choreographs more stuff, and I come back in. By the time we're done, it's like, okay, this is our fight. And then we wait, and then by the time the day comes, we're going shot by shot by shot. It's clockwork. The camera itself, if you watch carefully, is all choreographed with the action. The moves are there for a reason. It isn't just moving for, you know, I'm not doing monkey cam, like shaking it just to create excitement. The camera is moving specifically with the action at the right moment. And at a certain point, it became so natural for me and Koichi to do this stuff. Camera angle and stuff was never ever a question. You know, it was just like, all right, this is next choreography. Okay, put the dolly here, let's put on this lens here. Now when this happened, you pushed me in here, and a couple of times the dolly work was so violent that I flew off the camera, you know? So it was just pretty wild stuff, you know? And then the big payoff was seeing it all cut together and stuff, and you know, really just, you know, I got to hand to Koichi. I mean, he really outshined himself this time. I mean, all the projects we worked together, he really did a great job with the choreography, you know, and I was happy that I was able to do it justice by shooting it properly and editing it properly.
In the finest traditions of Hong Kong filmmaking, Steve and Koichi constantly encourage the principal actors to do their own stunts where possible. Despite the inherent danger, they were more than equal to the challenge.
Steve had warned me before, and he also warned Kadeem, because Kadeem had never really done an action picture before, and I had done some action before, but never the type that I wanted to, as far as Hong Kong style, until Steve's project came along. And he said up front from the beginning that we will be coming home with scratches and bruises, and he wants the actors to make contact. He wants us to make contact with the stunt people and physical fighting contact, and they're going to do the same. You know, and he'll keep it as safe as possible, but he wants it to be as real as he can do it, as we can. And that got me excited, because I figure, okay, you know, we're going to take a beating, but if the film comes out even halfway the way we want it to, it's going to be worth it.
I do all my own stunts. I do most of Jackie Chan's stunts. I did most of Mark's stunts. Yeah, I try not to talk about it too much, but I am a stunt man. I am a stunt man. Koichi Sakamoto, who is, you know, one of the stunt gods, we were kids. We grew up together, and studying in Hong Kong, you know, I taught him some things, he taught me some things. I was a huge influence on him. And I just love the fact that I could get him this job, you know, because he was like, you know, he was down and out, he was bumming, like, you know, the Power Rangers thing was nice, but, you know, nobody could ever see faces, you know, he wanted to be seen. And I said, all right, let me see, I'll talk to Steve, I'll talk to some of my people, I'll see if I can get you a job, because I'm working on this thing that could be pretty hot. and I'll see what I can do for you, because, you know, we were like brothers, you know, back in the old country.
Due to Steve and Koichi's expertise, very few serious injuries were actually sustained during principal photography on Drive. There were, however, a few notable exceptions. Leading man Mark Dacascos recalls an unscheduled trip to the hospital.
We were attempting this, you know, this big action-packed movie, and we had a small budget, so some of the props up to that point were actually, like, real. Yeah. And we were doing this club scene, and I don't even think Luke was striking at me. I actually hit his hand or something. And the club, you know, we should have had plastic ones, but like I said, budget. It was a hard, heavy wooden one. I kicked his hand and actually went flying out, and then ultimately hit my own head. And I had, I think it was 5 stitches right here. So And we didn't, I went to the hospital that night and got stitched up. And the next day, Kadeem and I are doing his girl scenes when we got to Kadeem's house. And, he's talking about cheeseburger and all that stuff. That stuff was all ad-lib too, by the way. It's funny. He's talking about his wife and all that, and we're going through his child's bedroom. And if you watch that scene, you'll notice that you'll see Kadeem's full-on close-up, and you'll see me like this all the time. And the few times you do see this side, it's like, oh, he really is Chinese, because it's kind of puffy and swollen up.
I never felt tired. And towards the end, when I pulled my knee or my hamstring or something, we had to do the big scene at the end where we're running from the explosion in the background. And, I just, got that competition, so I want to show Mark that, shit, the little guys can't run. And, brothers, we got to stride. And I think I pulled my damn hamstring trying to outrun him from the blue screen.
The worst injury of all was suffered by Japanese heartthrob Masaya Kato during the filming of the climatic fight scene in the Apollo 14 nightclub.
During the last scene climax, and Toby once in a punch hit my inner chest. I got my rib cracked. I didn't tell the director, but I was really in pain. But my character is emotionless, so I can't show my emotion, so always have to be cool. So that was very, very hard time for me.
A particularly memorable experience for all three principal stars was the explosive finale to the motel battle sequence. In the absence of a budget for CGI effects, real life-size projectiles were fired just over their heads to create the level of authenticity Steve required for this key sequence.
Brittany, Kadeem, and I, we come running around the corner of the motel, and we're just running away from the baddies. And we come around, and there's old J.P. Ferguson with his rocket launcher, right? He's got a rocket launcher. As we come around the corner, he's coming around, pointing at us, and the three of us realize, oh boy. So we're like, running away from this whole thing. And on the previous take, I guess we had run maybe too soon or too fast, and there was a big gap between the rocket and our heads. And it's probably Steve, because he likes getting us in dangerous situations, but he said, try play it a little closer and stuff, so we did, and I could kind of feel the wind go right past my head, and I was hoping that was close enough, but you never know with Koichi and Steve,
Oh, and I love the explosion, because I really got to be there for that, and I felt that. When they blew up the hotel, when Madison blows up the hotel, and we worked it out, Koichi, we ran, and we had to jump in the air and blow up. Always, that's why I wanted to be an actor from the time I was a kid, so that, you could pretend like the world was ending or things were blowing up and people were shooting, and at the end of the day, nobody's hurt. It's just, pretend. So this is the first time I really got to do it, because I've been doing comedy, but comedy without action, comedy, just a different, sitcom and other kind of stuff. When we were running and they shot those missiles at us, and I could actually hear the first one, because I was next to Brittany and Mark was in the back because he was the Superman. So when that thing whizzed by his head and bust through that window, there was an adrenaline, I know we were supposed to kind of pace ourselves and take our time running through each one, because it was like run, bang, bang, and then run, and then jump. After the first bang, I went to 5th gear, and I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here, man. This fucking thing might hit me.
As well as working 24/7 to make the fights come within the meager budgetary requirements, Steve also hired second unit director and miniature effects wizard Wyatt Weed and sound impresario Les Claypool to work their magic and give Drive some real production values in these vital areas at a fraction of the normal cost.
Due to the numerous locations, the nightclub, the ships at the beginning, all these places, we knew we would need a good Foley team. And I knew of a pair of Foley guys, John Cucci and Dan O'Connell, who had done huge movies. I mean, their mainstay is things like Con Air, Nutty Professor, all A-level films. They do a lot of action films, The Rock. And we knew we really couldn't afford them, but we knew they were perfect for the job. So what we ended up doing was spotting out key things that would be really important for them to do, signature effects, like all the sounds of the ship in the beginning, running up and down all those metal grates, and a lot of the fight sounds and clothing flutters and things, stuff we knew they'd be really good at. We pegged them to do all of those sounds, and then more of the generic sounds we just had other people do, like setting, there's no reason to hire those guys to set down glasses and take off glasses and rustle pieces of paper and things. So we had them do the specialty stuff, and it made a huge, huge difference. They're just, we bow to them. They are quite amazing at what they do.
A key effects sequence for the second unit team was the spectacular demolition of the Apollo 14 nightclub at the end of the movie.
The explosions there were handled by Joe Viscoso, who we all know, he revolutionized miniature pyrotechnics. He did the explosions in Star Wars, and then moved on to, you know, things like Independence Day, where I think he blew up more stuff than in any other film ever. But he was using a lot of the same pyrotechnic mixes that he had used on Apollo 13. And if you watch the sequence where the final big hotel explosion goes off and the rocket flies up into the air, if you look at the flame underneath, it looks just like the flame of the Saturn V rocket starting up in Apollo 13. He used almost the exact same mix. And it was really exciting to know that we were using Apollo 13 technology on our film. We had one chance to do that. There was no reset, we'll be back in 2 days to shoot it again. And we didn't have, like, you know, a truck full of replacement parts. It was one time, you do it once, you get the best you can. So I was